y'all doing? Y'all are so patient. I really appreciate y'all dealing with how I go weeks without posting a video. I'm so sorry. I have been so busy lately, and my ADHD has been like whoop through the roof. So it's been kind of difficult managing everything. I'm learning. So it's a learning curve for sure. But thank y'all so much for sticking around. And hopefully, this video today will be a blessing. Um, First off, I want to talk about this week has been amazing. Like you would not believe. Um, the overtime that was mandatory this week was not so amazing. But Thursday, y'all, I got to scratch off something off my bucket list, and that was seeing Alabama in concert. I have been following that band since I was 17. I was dating a guy at the time that was strictly country. Well, when we were together, we were listening to country, and I was hooked. And Alabama became my the band for me. And I at one point I had every vinyl, yeah, I'm old, every vinyl record that they had put out. I still wish I did, but it got stolen from me many years ago. And so they were like my it for me when it came to bands. And over the years, I never really had an opportunity to go see them. About 5 years ago, they came in town where I live, and I actually even had the money. I could have scraped up the money to go see them, but I had to take my ex. And he was always flexing. He always had to show how strong or he-man he was, and um, basically grabbing attention. And so putting him in an Alabama concert, I'd have been on the defensive the whole time, watching for anything that would trigger him, getting mad, who knows what. So I just decided not to go. But I regretted that decision because I was afraid that they wouldn't be coming around anymore. Um, and then a couple months back, my sister sends me an email she got from the arena stating that Alabama's coming for their 50th anniversary tour, and asked me, "Do you want to go?" Yeah. So she bought the tickets for me, herself, and my daughter, and I paid her back because she had early access, and we went Thursday. Y'all, it was so awesome. I was dancing. I'd say, I don't think it's a lie to say 3/4 of the concert. Um, I've never had so much fun in I can't tell you how long. I mean, it was just so awesome. And the one love song that I knew what they played a couple of love songs, they're all time favorites. But the one love song I knew without a doubt that they were going to play, they played. And y'all, I did good. I didn't cry. I got kind of sentimental to it because this was a love song that was associated with me and my ex. But I got through it. And it felt so good. Um, and then I was bringing my daughter home, that night, and she put Alabama music on over the Bluetooth in my van, and we were singing together on the way back to her house. That was awesome. Y'all, that is a memory that I will not soon forget. In fact, I think it's safe to say I don't think I'll ever forget it. And I was kind of stressing to go because I'm like, well, I haven't listened to them over the years so much, and do I really want to go? And I guess I was just nervous because I haven't been to a concert in, I figured out, 21 years. Last concert I went to was a concert for him, for a band that he followed, Kiss. Um, and so, of course, I went with him. But, and our two oldest, who were young at the time, it was their first concert. And so, and at the Kiss concert, though I listened to them, it just wasn't my, um, I didn't have as much fun there. Um, because also I was having to be reserved because I didn't want to do too much, get into it too much and outstage him and having fun. Um, so, yeah. Well, anyway, so I had a wonderful time dancing and singing and my off key self. I'm glad there was so many people singing so they didn't hear my voice. And it just felt good. Y'all, I hope my son's voice didn't come over here just now. He's playing his game. Um, it was not only scratching something off my bucket list, but it was a first that my sister, my daughter, and I went to a concert together because we had been wanting to go to a concert together. Because though my go-to is worship music and country, I do listen to other genres, 80 hair band stuff, Journey, Bon Jovi, stuff like that, Def Leppard. And so my sister and I had been wanting to go to a concert together, but never could. And so, and my daughter always told me that she wanted to go to a country music concert with me because she likes some country too. And she wanted to go with me. So I got to go with both of them. Y'all, I about cried. I'm still getting teary eyed in a good way because this year and a half has been so filled with firsts and milestones. And it's been so wonderful. Um, I mean, there's been a lot of bumpy roads. I'm still going through somewhat of a bumpy road right now with finances. Nothing too major. Just, um, we all have to deal with finances. And it's been so amazing to see how far I've come. I mean, I don't mean to sound narcissistic. I'm so on guard about that because that's what my ex was, and the last thing I want to be is anything like him. And, but I was talking to my therapist, not this we switch days. Now it's Thursday mornings because my schedule has changed. Uh, to now I go to work at 10 and get out at 6:30, which my body is thanking me for because I'm more of a mid-morning person than an early morning. Um, and it was like I was talking to my therapist uh, like a couple of weeks back about how I was scared that any mild compassion I have for my ex is indicative of me possibly taking it back, even though logically that's not even an option. And so he talked me through it and stuff and helped me realize that no, that the compassion is because God gave it to me. And that though I despise everything he's ever done to the kids and me, um, I never hated him per se. I mean, not truly hate in the truest sense of the word. And he looked at me and he said, so, right now, let's say he displays all the right traits and stuff and he's acting, you know, above board and seems to have changed, would you take him back? I'm like, heck, no. And he said, exactly. And so I started thinking about how I've changed, because that got me to thinking, um, mainly just so I can get a better perspective and comfort myself, because y'all, I never want to take him back. Like I said, I don't wish him dead most days. No, not at all, really. I despise what he's done. And then there's times when I go through a flashback and I literally yell, I despise you, his name. But if I'm totally honest with myself, if I happen to be driving by and I see him laying out in the middle of the street because he got hit by a car or something, I would render aid. And I'd call 911 and do everything I could, talk to the police, and then I'd say, okay, can I go now? And so I started thinking how far I've come from even the day I called the police on him. Because my therapist said, you are not the same person that you were then. You're not even the same person that you were the day that all of this went down. And I'm like, it got me to thinking. And I'm not. I have changed so dramatically. Excuse me. I've changed in the fact that a lot of the old me is coming back. Because, y'all, I'm still changing. I'm still progressing, evolving, if you will. But a lot of the old me that I was before he and I met has come out, but even more improved. Because it's the old me that I was before he and I met when I was 22, almost 23, but with the maturity of what I am now, 57. And it's nice to see, because that personality that I was that outgoing personality, um, where back for many, many, many years I called myself an extroverted introvert. And I think now I'm more of an introverted extrovert. I think it's actually flip flop because it would take me a while to get to know someone, and once I got to know them, then I was fine. I'd talk up a storm, because I'm sure y'all notice I can talk like crazy. And but it took a while. Now, I found that out when I went to Colorado for a friend's celebration of life, her parents' celebration of life, because I talked with everyone. There was a couple of people I didn't even know. I talked with them like nothing. Like I've known them. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't reserved. I was actually shocking myself because I expected myself to be quiet. And I wasn't. I even called out somebody for hitting their elder. I talked about that before. I later found out that the elder, that's how they play. So, but I called them out on it because I didn't know. And y'all, that was never me, even before I met my ex. That's the old me that I was as a teenager. After I dealt with a lot of trauma, with being handled inappropriately by a very trusted family friend, and then the rape, that kind of took a lot out of me. But I'm noticing that I'm what I was as a teenager before the major trauma started, but with the wisdom of a 57-year-old, fortunately. And that is amazing. And I'm able to go out there and talk to people I don't know. Just introduce myself. Hi, I'm Penny. And be totally out there. And I like that. I like what I'm becoming. I'm loving this journey that I'm on, getting to know myself, the new me, the Penny 2.0, as my therapist calls it. And it's really nice. And now, I've come so far, and I look back, and that's what I encourage you to do when you're going through a season where you wonder if you're the same, if you're even the same. Look back at how far you've come, because that's what I've been doing. And y'all, I'm loving it. I'm loving what I'm seeing. I do see some things I need to change, and I'm working on that. And it's just so good. And y'all, I can talk a little bit more about my ministry, God's ministry that He's entrusted me to. I am literally this close to getting it started. Strengthen Families is the name of it. And it's where I'll be helping families that are struggling, that are at risk of going into the CPS system. I'll be helping them put support in place, community aid in place, whatever they may need to help keep them out of the system. And then helping families that are in the system, CPS system, help them do what they need to get out of the system, and then more importantly, stay out. Because I've been looking at a lot of statistics lately, because I've been following a lot of people on Instagram dealing with foster care, CPS, social work, that sort of thing, trauma. 1 in 3 families that get out of the system end up re-entering the system at some point. Literally, by the grace of God, we didn't when we were involved. Once we got out, by the grace of God, we stayed out. But I tell you what, it was literally by the grace of God, because with everything going on, we should have entered sooner. We should have re-entered. And I saw somewhere also that a social worker was talking to a foster parent and telling this foster parent that in her experience, every family that has left the CPS system, graduated from it, whatever you want to call it, and successfully finished the system and successfully stayed away from getting back in, 100% of the time, they had a church in the community supporting them. I had always known that somehow instinctively, but when I saw that, I actually saved it to my phone, because that, and I told my therapist about it, and he had me send it to him, because he's been saying this himself, that when there's community involvement, when they have a support system in place, meaning in this case the church, they are more likely to stay out of the system, stay out of it, and prevent from re-entering it. And that's what this foundation is about. I'm looking to basically, because a lot of these people, from what I've been looking into, I'd say 95% of the people that are involved in the system have no support. And that's part of what lands them in the system, is because they have no support. They have no outside support, no family or anything like that. And that makes it difficult to navigate things and get things done. Because, y'all, we were meant to be in families. And so that's why the name came to me, Strengthen Families. God gave me the name. But that's why, because I'm helping create families for the clients that I'll be working with and my foundation will be working with. Creating families through churches, plugging them into churches if that's what they want. having these churches just love on them, wrap around them, help fulfill needs. Because y'all, sometimes, because let me tell you something. You know, you see all of these memes about how people on food stamps, EBT, whatever you want to call it now, how they're lazy, they don't work. That may be the case in some cases, I'll grant that. But in a lot of cases, they're working. They just don't make enough to handle food and all their bills. And then let me tell you from firsthand experience, what you get with food stamps, unless you happen to be part of a very good community that is monetarily well off, what you get in food stamps does not last a full month. Especially if you're working. And so the kids go hungry, and a lot of things, you know, it's a domino effect. And then next thing you know, they're in the system. And so that's what my program or my ministry is looking to do. Help them, wrap around them, love on them, give them the support I wish I had when we were involved with the CPS system. Because y'all, if I'd have had that support, it's a good probability, like a 60% probability, I would have left my ex then. I mean, I'm not going to say definitely. Like I said, 60% chance. But instead, I had to put up a united front and act like my ex and I were together on the same page and working together, because I was afraid that if I would have mentioned, you know, I really don't want to be married, I want to leave, that it would have made things worse. And I've been told by others, even my kids agree, that that was the best decision, the better of all the decisions, that I did right by doing that, because it could have been a whole lot worse. Because we had a social worker that her her personal life was out of control, so she had this power trip and wanted to control everybody else's life. And that's another thing I've been able to settle with, because that is the one area where I have been so furious that if I ever saw her on the street, it would be every ounce of control God can give me to not punch her in her face for what she put my family through. But my therapist helped me think about it this way, because we were not the only family she did this to. I found out that pretty much every family that she was a caseworker for, she basically did the same thing. And she's going to have to stand up in front of God one day and answer for all of those families that she tore apart instead of helping. Because the biggest misconception is that if you're involved with the CPS system, you're a terrible person. Not always the case. Unfortunately, there are those parents that are not safe for their kids, and their kids do need to be removed and stay removed. However, there are many times where it's the parents are struggling and they don't know what to do next, how to navigate anything, how to get help, scared to ask for help. And if they only had a helping hand, they could stay out of the system. And so that's what I want to do, is give the help I wish I had had. Because like I said, had I mean, the social workers and everybody on the quote team saw how my ex was, even though he was on his quote best behavior. And had they come up to me and said, look, we see a little bit of what's going on. If you're willing to leave him, we will help you. I don't know that I wouldn't have. I don't know that I would have. I'm not saying definitely. I mean, hindsight's always 20/20. But I don't know that I wouldn't have. And then after the case was closed and ended, that's when I started getting hold of a lot of toxic books. Well, one particular toxic book came to my attention about, yeah, you're married to an abuser, but stay with him anyway. Serve him, be the good wife, pray for him, and then he'll be converted. Doesn't work that way. Sometimes it does. The abuser realizes how horrible he's been and turns that completely around. But that's not the case. That's not the average. The average, sadly, is once an abuser, always an abuser. It's extremely rare that they realize their ways and they turn from their abusiveness. And being as I was a new Christian, or I thought I was a Christian, I wanted to do what I thought was right by God. And so when that started happening, I didn't want to leave. I mean, I wanted to, but I was afraid to leave. And then I told my daughter the other day, I look back to see what I allowed to happen to them, and that floored me. And I never want to be that person again. And I guess that's why I'm going like 180 degrees in the opposite direction, where I was timid and scared of my own shadow almost. Now I'm the exact opposite, and I'll face anybody. I don't care. Because I never want to be that person again. But I'm, like I started to say and went on a tangent, I'm this close to making that fruition. I have a potential donor. I've got to find a way to get money for a lawyer so I can get my 501(c), because it's easier to retain a lawyer and have the lawyer go through all of that than it is to try to do it myself. I've got my 3 board members. I may actually decide to have a 4th, but I've got the 3 board members that that are required for part of the nonprofit thing. And it just amazes me, because I have wanted something like this for at least 10, 12 years. And of course I couldn't because of my ex. I mean, when I had that job 12 years ago, roughly, um, back in, yeah, '09, so 12 years ago, um, where I was a parent partner, y'all, I loved that job. I absolutely loved it. Um, I had a big head, so that's part of what got me fired, if I'm totally honest. A big part was the director and I had philosophical differences. Um, and she didn't like my faith. And when she realized my deep faith, I became somewhat of a target. Um, but if I'm truthful, I had a big head and I wasn't ready for it. But ever since I was fired from it, I had wanted to start a program like that. And now I am literally inches away from seeing my dream come true. And that is so awesome. You have no idea. I am just so amazed by that. And it's because I have support. I have support from my church family. Y'all, I told Pastor the other day that without my church family, I'd be nothing. I wouldn't be where I am mentally or emotionally. And then my extended family has been so supportive of me. I know they've got my back. And that makes all the difference. So if you don't have the support of your family, create a family. My daughter did. There was a time that she felt she didn't have us. And that breaks my heart to think that, but it's a harsh reality. But she had huge support from a family she created. Friends and friends' parents. Because we were just talking about that the other day. And though it's a sad state of affairs that she had to create one because her family should have been there for her, it was great to know that she at least had this family that she created. And that's what got her through. And so definitely, if you don't have actual blood family that is there for you for whatever reason, get a family. Get friends. Because that support means a lot. It means the difference between not being able to handle things and handling things. Yeah, there are those that handle things without a support system. There are those that can do it. But you don't go as far. I tried handling it on my own, and I will admit, I'm pretty darn strong. God made me a strong woman. But I ended up doing so much better with having the support system of my extended church family and then allowing my family to come and help me. Because I always kept my family at arm's length. A lot of it because of my ex. But now that I've let them in, that makes all the difference. Y'all have a good week. Hopefully next week I'll have another video. Y'all stay blessed and stay safe. Bye.